I wanted to come out here and give you all another update, just like I promised. Now, Kanye West showed up here. I told you guys he was in the building. They said that they didn't want him to cause chaos. They didn't want him to have, like, disruption in the courtroom. So they basically gave him his own separate room all to himself. He was actually in a private overflow room. Now, from what I'm hearing, he stayed in there all of 20 minutes and then he left. Now, supposedly he's somewhere with Christian, which I kind of figured because Christian left when the break started and he never came back to the courtroom. So they're saying that Kanye's out here somewhere with Christian. They may have left the premises, but he's supposed to be coming back. And they said he's dressed in all white. Now, some people are saying that Kanye came up here, just to get all the attention and have all eyes on him. And when they put him in this little private room by himself, he wasn't here for it. Okay, so he dipped. All right, so can you all hear me? Make sure y'all can hear me. Hey, Pretty Wings. All right. Hey, 504 NOLA, Ladybug's in the house. All right, Desmond, Jamal. Shout out to my moderators putting in work. Bobo, I see you, Lydia. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, Kanye is supposed to come back, so I'm looking all around. I'm trying to keep my eyes peeled, honey, so I can get a bird's eye view when he shows back up. Because like I said, I'm pretty sure he's coming back because he is with Christian. Christian disappeared after lunchtime, not lunchtime, but he left during the break and hasn't returned yet. So they're saying that he's out here with Christian. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about what's going on in the courtroom. Because we have the second witness of the day already up on the stand. This is a man that used to be Diddy's former assistant, one of his assistants. His name is Jonathan Perez. He's 35 years old from Fort Lauderdale. He has a bachelor's in communications, and he worked for Combs Enterprises, which was changed to Combs Global. Okay, he was the personal assistant. Now, he started working for Diddy in December of 2021, and then left in September of 2024 because that's when Diddy got arrested. Okay, now, he says that he found out about the job from KK. She had actually interviewed him years prior, and apparently he didn't get the job then, but when there was an opening, she reached out to him, and he went on what was basically a trial period. He went down to Miami, and he worked for Diddy for a week, and that's when he secured the position. Now, he says that when he was working for Diddy for about 6 to 8 months, he never had any interactions with Diddy, never really saw him, and his direct supervisor was KK. So anyway, he said the bulk of his work included doing research, getting Diddy prepped for meetings, organizing things for him, and basically he worked between Diddy's homes. Okay, and his salary was $85,000 to $100,000. You know what it sounds like to me though? Sounds like Diddy may be a bit of a chauvinist, which I'm pretty sure we can all see that by now, because it seems like all of these male assistants were making a lot more than Capricorn Clark. Okay, did you all notice that? The guy, George Kaplan, and David James, they were making significantly more money than Capricorn Clark, and so was this guy. So anyway, he said it was paid by Combs Global and Combs Enterprises. And so they go on to talk about how they asked him, the prosecution asked him if he thought that KK and Diddy had a personal relationship. Now, when they said personal, I didn't take that to mean like an intimate relationship, but like were they friends, or did they have a relationship that entailed more of just business? And he said yes. He said you can tell, and sometimes when you're working in close proximity to a person, you develop these personal relationships. Okay, so anyway, he talked about Phil Pines. If you guys remember Phil Pines, he was the one in one of the documentaries about Diddy, who said that he was in charge of cleaning up after those nasty King nights. Talked about all the oil being everywhere, whatever. So he worked with him. He worked with a guy named Rob, and he also worked with Brendan. Now, you remember Brendan, that's the alleged rug mule, okay? That was arrested at the Opelika Airport with Diddy on the day of the raid. So worked with him also. And he said Phil Pines and some of the others, they actually worked with Diddy pretty closely on a day-to-day basis. So then they asked him, were you aware of the term King Nights? And he says yes. They said, well, can you all hear me? Once in the chat if you all can hear me. Once in the chat if you all can hear me. It looks like my volume. Can you all hear me? Once in the chat? Okay, great. Okay, great. Okay, all right, I'm just checking. Okay, so good. So anyway, they asked him if he was familiar with the term King Knights. He said yes, and they asked him where did he hear that term from, and he said from KK. Now you all remember the Wild King Knights? That's like the freak-offs, okay? And so anyway, they were talking about that, and then they showed him a picture of some woman, and basically asked him if he knew who she was, and he said that they asked him if she was at the Wild King Knights, and he said yes. Okay, now they didn't say this woman's name, but they did say that she was at the Wild King Knights, which I thought was interesting. Now, they asked him what was needed at the King Knights and who basically was booking things or whatever. And he said a woman by the name of Jessica. I want to say he called her Jessica Reyes. I really couldn't understand the last name that he said, but her name was Jessica. Now, that's the same lady that Jane Doe was talking about, who was booking the flights and arrangements for the S workers, like when they went to Turks and Caicos or wherever they were flying off to, because she called her Jess. And when they asked her who she was, remember, she said that was Diddy's travel agent. Okay, so now they asked him what did he do when he was preparing for the King Knights. So he basically said there's a bug out here. They asked him what was he doing when he prepared for the King Knights. He basically said that he would bring the lights and the things, you know, for the hotels and all that stuff. And then they asked him what kinds of lights, and he said the red ones. He said there were different types of lights, but usually specifically it was the red. Okay, then he said he had to clean up after it was over. He said he had to clean up before the real cleaning crew came in. And there was lots of dirty, nasty sheets and towels. And, you know, he had to do this quick cleanup before the hotel staff got there. And they asked how long was Mr. Combs away when he would have one of the King Knights, and what was the Wild King Knights. He basically said that when they had these King Knights, that Mr. Combs would be entertaining a female. He would be entertaining a woman. Okay, so they get the room ready for that. And then they asked him, well, you know, when he'd have these things, how long would he be away for? And he said, you know, like 12 hours or more, you know, sometimes 30 hours. I think that's what he said, but definitely over 12 hours, which aligns with what Cassie and Jane Doe said about the freak-offs and the hotel nights, okay? I don't know how Diddy was having all of this SEX or watching all this SEX for hours and hours on end. I mean, he has to be an SEX addicted. He must be an SEX maniac. You know how they say some people are addicted to it, like rugs? That's what it sounds like. Okay, he's addicted to corn with the people. All right, that's what this all boils down to if you ask me. Bobo said, ew, nasty to clean that up. I know, honey, let me tell you something. If I had to clean up such vile things, I would have had to put on a whole hazmat suit and a gas mask, okay, latex gloves, you name it. Okay, please pay attention. Okay, so anyway, so they talked about some text messages that they had, and these were text messages exchanged between Mr. Perez, that's the witness's name, Jonathan Perez. Now, they had text messages between he and KK, Christina Courtroom, okay? And these started from August the 12th of 2023. Now, he left, they had a text message from Jonathan Perez that said, just left, it says Jonathan Perez, room 439. It says, just left 2 candles and room phone in front of the room door. I'm only about 9 minutes away if y'all need anything. And then there was another text telling somebody what Diddy and Jane Doe needed in their room. And they were basically saying they needed some outfits for her, and I think some shoes. But they said they needed outfits for her, shorts for him, size large, and they needed fruits, shakes, and juices. Okay, and the person said copy that. This is what Jonathan Perez said, because he's the one they were telling to bring all this stuff. And he said copy that, got fruits, shakes, and juices. Okay, so then they were talking about Joey Chavez, who was also one of the assistants. Now, Chavez, they had a text message from him that was for KK, and it said, Ricky, 40 away, which basically said he's 40 minutes away. And then KK said, Joey, how's the cleanup going? And he said, I slipped and fell twice. KK asked Joey, how's the cleanup going for the King Knights? And he said, I slipped and fell twice, damn it. Now, how did he slip and fall? Well, I'm pretty sure from all of that baby oil. Okay, and that's another thing. Let's talk about that baby oil and stuff, because when they had the agent on the stand and they were talking to him, he was talking about all that damn oil and stuff that he found. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, he was talking about, well, actually, it wasn't his fault that he was talking about it. It was actually Agnifalo's fault. Because Agnifalo was making such a big to-do, as I told you earlier, about the guns, about the person testifying, the agent testifying, that the guns were secured in the security room and that the cabinet was locked. And he was concerned that he wouldn't be able to verify that, right? And so then he starts asking him about the baby oil and stuff. He's like, you found boxes and boxes of baby oil, right? And you found a lot. And he said, well, I found boxes and boxes of Astroglide. He corrected him, because there was like a stack of boxes. I'm not exaggerating. They showed the receipts. There was like a stack of Astroglide in boxes of it, stacked up as high as I am, as tall as I am. Now, not only that, you know, they showed all the baby oil. So yeah, Agnifalo was like, yeah, there was baby oil all over the place. There was lots of baby oil. Now this is Diddy's attorney saying this, mind you. He's like, there's baby oil all over the place. There's baby oil everywhere. And the Astroglide, there's boxes of it, right? There's a whole bunch of boxes of that, right? Now I'm like, Mr. Agnifalo, are you trying to distract us from the guns? Because this man doesn't know whether the guns were in the cabinet secured or not? Is that why you keep talking about this damn baby oil and the Astroglide? And I'm trying to see how what Diddy's facial expression is at this point. Because clearly, you're throwing him under the bus with all this talk about oil and glide, okay? Anyway, I just thought that was hilarious. So anyway, now they said Joey slipped and fell twice. That's how much oil they clearly had on the damn floor. This man, he probably could have had a lawsuit against Diddy, okay? For workman's compensation. That's what I would have sued for. So anyway, Perez says that Brendan was yelling, and then here's the thing. Brendan's yelling at him saying that he has a videotape. He's found something on video, and so Jonathan says that he goes to find out exactly what he has found, right? And guess what it is, y'all? It's a video of one of those damn hotel nights with Jane Doe and Diddy. Brendan messed around and found out that there was a footage of Jane Doe having sex with some S worker man. He said it was a black guy. He can't tell. He didn't know who it was, but it's a black guy. They're having having sex, and he said Diddy's in the background watching. And so Brendan calls Jonathan and tells him. Jonathan then goes about an hour later and tells Diddy, and then he goes and tells KK. So KK tells him the next time something like that happens, she says, just reach out to me and I'll go take it to Diddy. I mean, can you imagine how embarrassing that is? So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm doing a live. I can't talk right now. Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm here every day. Okay, I got you. Okay, I got you. Okay. Anyway, get the fuck out of here. I'd be here every day. But anyway, as I was saying, so basically, he says that on the video, it was Jane and another man in a video with a black guy, and he says it was from Diddy's iPad. That's what he says. He says it was from Diddy's iPad, and then he says he was surprised. Now, also, here's the thing. When he finds this, he figures out, he says it looks like it was actually recorded on this device. He says it looks like it was actually recorded on this device, which I thought was interesting. Okay, which I thought was interesting. He says it looks like it was actually recorded on this device. So that's letting them know that Diddy recorded this himself. It's not like basically somebody just, recorded them, snuck and did it or whatever. This is the diddler's own handiwork. Okay? They better not start no more beating. No, that's right, okay? Okay, no, see, they're trying to record too, and I'm in their way, okay? Well, first come, first serve. That's what I always say. But anyway, let me continue. So anyway, hold on. So, and here's the thing. Now, they said that KK's phones, 2 of KK's phones were confiscated. Now, this actually happened on the day of the raids also, and this happened at the Opa-locka airport. So they confiscated her phones, And this is where they obviously found the audio that they ended up playing for us. There was an audio from Perez, the witness, to KK. And this was recorded on January the 30th of 2023 at 9:20 a.m. So KK said, and here's what she says. She says, so I don't really know how to bring this to you. Now, let me just fill you in on what this all pertains to. This audio that was recorded is basically KK confronting Jonathan Perez about the footage that he saw, that he came and told both her and Diddy about. So she comes to him and she says, so, you know, I don't really know how to bring this up. It was two things that were weird, okay? So here's what I want to know. I want to know about, okay, so somebody brought this up to me, she says, out of the blue. I just need to know step by step where you found it, okay? Where you found it, and who did you talk to about it, and what did you do? Did you talk to anyone? Because somebody comes up to KK out of the blue, and she's saying they know about this videotape, and they're telling her about it. So she's trying to get to the bottom of it, and she's thinking, okay, Jonathan's the one that came and told me and Diddy, so who else did he talk to about it, or did he show it to somebody else? Because how the hell is somebody going to come up to me out of the blue bringing this up? So then Perez says, well, he said, I saw it, okay? He says, KK says, was anyone else there? He says, maybe Gio, because he said when he saw it, it was in the theater. He says, maybe Gio was in the theater. He said, I went up to PD. PD is Diddy. He said, I went up to PD and I said, hey, I found something. I found something on the iPad. Now, he says, I found something on the iPad and you can delete it. I didn't want to randomly just delete it myself, you know, because if it got deleted and then God forbid something happened and then it looks like I was doing something shady. So he said Brendan talked to Rob about it because she's like, well, who said something about it? How is this getting out? So then he says Brendan had talked to Rob about it. And I don't think Brendan knew that I was there. Okay, so, and his advice was to just delete it. But again, I didn't feel comfortable doing that because if something came up later, I didn't want to be like, you know, I was the one that deleted it and I was being shady. And so that was just it. So it looked like the video could have been filmed on that same device. And there was a note from someone trying to sign in from Pompano. And then KK from Pompano Beach. And then KK says, where's Pompano Beach? So anyway, here's the thing. KK says, okay, but the iPad thing, those are the only people that are involved. And he says, yes. So basically that's as far as we got because they sent us to lunch. We'll be going back and restarting at 1:40 or 1:30 in about 5 minutes. So the witness is going to be back on the stand, honey, but it's getting really juicy. And like I said, again, they're saying that Kanye is supposed to be showing up. He's somewhere with Christian. So hopefully, well, you know, we may not see him. We may not, hey, beloved, we may not see him because, like I said, they supposedly had him secluded in a room by himself, like an overflow room. Okay, and so I don't know if we're going to see him or not. I'm going to run out here and try to catch him when court ends. Maybe I'll get a shot of him walking out or something like that. But I don't think they're going to have him just roaming around freely because of all the chaos it would create. And they said the jury would clearly be in an uproar. So they don't want to have to deal with any of that. Okay, so anyway, hey, good Friday, one who cares, beloved. Okay, so anyway, let me tell you, hey, the lounge, beloved, listen, I got to call you. I'm going to call you this weekend, okay? All right, so listen. At the end of the day, it's all getting real juicy. I'm just here to tell y'all. And but I'm still tore up about Jane Doe. I'm still tore up about Jane Doe sitting out here doing a whole nother freak off with another rapper. Okay? Showing tatas and making referrals. This is all a hot mess as far as I'm concerned. The end of the day. Well, Diddy looks like he's in good spirits today. He's wearing a tan sweater and his khakis. I think he's wearing a tan sweater, or was it a brown sweater? Anyway, he's looking like he's in a good mood because his family there, his support system is there, whatever. He's turned around giving hearts to everybody and smiling and all of that. And I'm just waiting. You know, the prosecution, as I told you guys, they're going to rest probably next week. They said a week after Friday. They told us that a couple of days ago, and they said probably even as early as Wednesday. So then we're going to start hearing from the defense's witnesses, and I am looking forward to that. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace. Thank you, beloved, for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. I appreciate you.